minus 9 minutes. Minus 8 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. Stand by.
How about that?
Buenos dias, amigos. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the RP Show. Very special day today on a Wednesday. I'm going to tell you why. It's just you and me in hour one, and hopefully that's not the case in hour two. I'll tell you why in a second. But it's another day where I'm, I think, over-prepared to talk sports with you all over the next 2 hours, and I'm going to be perfectly, can I be frank? You can be whoever you want to be. I really enjoy doing this show. I really do. I hope you enjoy watching it and listening to it as much as I do hosting it for you and producer Corey putting it on and all our crew behind the scenes. It's just so darn much fun. I got a lot of things to get to here in hour one, and then in hour two, Matthew Barnaby scheduled to be joining us from Halifax, Nova Scotia, 18th all-time in NHL penalty minutes. My good friend Barney. I just go like this. He'll join us, but from sometimes Barney's in and out. He's like a lot of these former athletes. They're just in and out. But he's the perfect guest today. And I'll just tell you why before we jump into the quick six show topics here. Obviously, Matthew Barnaby can talk NHL with the best of them, a veteran of the Sabres, Penguins, Lightning, Rangers, Avalanche, Blackhawks, and Stars. But he's also a huge New York Jets fan, and they were front and center on the NFL trade deadline on Tuesday. And also because he played with the Sabres, he's got great insight into the Bills. He knows the Pegula family, and everybody wants to know, why can the Bills be so good and the Sabres be so bad? If success starts at the top, that doesn't compute. Barney explained that once really well, one of his past appearances with us. I'd like to get him to do it again. So here's hoping. Barney's boots on the ground in Halifax, Nova Scotia. He'll be with us in hour two. Let's go with the quick six show topics. And with baseball behind us, it's going to be like a different opening topic every day. And we do have a lot to get to today, you and I. You, by the way, are the co-host in hour one. I'm telling you now. 902-518-3033. You can ride shotgun, text in your questions and comments as we go for those that are watching on Game Plus TV and in hour two, Game Plus and the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network across Nevada. And also the YouTube chat. But number one, I'm opening with hockey. The Montreal Canadiens fell 5-4 in a shootout to the Philadelphia Flyers in the NHL Tuesday night. That was the game I watched along with Carolina blanking the Rangers 3-0. I literally was the guy that had the TV up and the laptop open, streaming one game, watching the other. And I'm going to tell you, Montreal is just so dang exciting. And I'm going to jump to my top five, bottom five here right away. Norm out of schedule. But I wanted to open with hockey here right now because we are predominant. This is the Canadian hour, and Canada is a hockey country first. Trust me, CFL fans, we're going to get to you. But I turned it on. I'm like, I picked the Habs to win the game, and Philly was up 3-0. All of a sudden, the Habs roar back, tie it. It ends up going to overtime. Philly, it was just a hell of a game at the Bell Center. And I swear, I'm kind of envious of the Montreal media, specifically the talking heads like myself. I'd love to talk way more Montreal Canadiens because I just love the team. And let me ask you this before I move on to the other games and teams. And I may be wrong because I don't watch every game out of the Bell Center. I watch as many as I can, like last night. But do you ever remember the Habs fans booing their own team? It happens at a lot of places. I was there on the Saddledome when it happened. We know Oilers fans have thrown jerseys on the ice. The Leafs fans started that. I don't ever remember Habs fans booing their own team. Do you, producer Corey? You were telling me you lived in Montreal for a while. Do you remember ever Habs fans booing the Canadiens? I don't. That's a no from producer Corey. Elsewhere on a 10-game slate last night, Dallas beat Edmonton 4-3 in a shootout. LA blanked Winnipeg 3-0, and Vegas got past Detroit at 1-0. And man, this goes real fast. I got to get to this real fast. Here's my top five, bottom five in the National Hockey League right now. And as we fly, I'm doing this on the fly. Okay. Number one, it's the Colorado Avalanche. They are the number one team. If you look at the standings as of today, number one, the Colorado. See, this is subjective, and it's also the first week of November. So I'm not writing this in stone. Number one, Colorado, they do have an NHL leading plus 13 goal differential. So they're number one. Number two, the Winnipeg Jets. Despite being blanked in LA last night, they are the reigning President Trophy champions. The number three team is the Montreal Canadiens. We can't say they're young and up and coming anymore. They're here. As Bob Marrier would say, the most famous sober coach alive on the planet, Bob Marrier, my mentor, one of my mentors. It's here. They've arrived. The Montreal Canadiens are number three. Number four, the Utah Mammoth. Said no one ever, but they are. They've won 8 of their last 10. That represents the hottest team in the NHL. Utah is the number 4 team in the NHL, and number 5, the Vegas Golden Knights. They just are. Watched them here. They lost here. They won last night, 1-0 at home to Detroit. Vegas will be there in the end. To me, they're still the number 1 team that you wouldn't even want to face. They're like 10th overall in the standings, but Vegas is number 5 for me. Honorable mention, the New Jersey Devils. And as long as I'm doing the top 5, I got to do the bottom 5. Number 28 team, 5th from the bottom, is the Chicago Blackhawks. Sorry, reality has hit. 29, the Minnesota Wild. They will figure it out, but for now, your record is what you are. Number 30, the San Jose Sharks. Just lucky they're not ranked dead last, because I think they will end there eventually. Second worst team, number 31, the St. Louis Blues. This is a shocker, no? St. Louis Blues, 31st team. And number 32, the Calgary Flames. I'm sorry, I don't want to say any more about it than that, but I can't defend the Flames anymore. It's just fugly what's going on there. We'll come back on all this. Number 2, NFL trade deadline Tuesday. The Colts went all in. The Eagles were aggressive. The Jets looked to the future. NFL teams were active in the weeks, days, and minutes leading up to the trade deadline on Tuesday, with the wildest moves coming from the Big Apple. 2-time All-Pro cornerback Sauce Gardner went from New York to Indianapolis for 2 first-round picks. The Jets also sent 3-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Quinnen Williams to Dallas in another blockbuster deal for a second-round pick and a first-round pick. Let's not forget it. What's that? 1 minute? Okay, let's not forget it. It wasn't that long ago that ESPN analyst Jeff Saturday was the interim coach of the Colts, okay? It wasn't that long ago. And I feel like we're sitting there going, what happened? And why can't other teams like the Raiders figure it out as fast as the Indianapolis Colts have? And what's the biggest change there? Carly Ursay is running the show. That's like the biggest change there right now in Indiana. I told you I'm fascinated by this story. So the biggest story, number 1, NHL hockey out of the bag. Number 2, NFL trade deadline. I just scratched the surface on that. We got CFL to get to, college football. Tell you what's happening with our NBA team. We're just getting rolling. Again, 902-518-3033 is the text line, brought to you by Western Dodge. From trucks to SUVs, Western Dodge has what you're looking for. We'll be right back.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
Al-Anon and
and
Alateen can help.
help.
Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Wanted to tell you that Hour 1 is brought to you in part by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, Pump Jack's Weyburn, Pump Jack's Cathedral. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. They also bring you our CFL and NFL picks weekly. We'll be doing our CFL picks tomorrow. That's when Kevin the Median will be joining us from Mexico as he wraps up a 3-week vacation there. Can you imagine 3 weeks in Mexico? I also can't imagine how fast this goes when it's just me. I need the comments from the viewers. Help me out here. As I said, it's just me riding solo. You guys are the co-hosts today. And you jumped on that hockey vein. John Ohm says morning. No, he says, can't win them all, Winnipeg Jets. Adam Lowry looked great last night in his first game of the year. Go Jets. The always positive John Ohm in Winnipeg. Where the hell is it? Brian he says, good morning, RP, from Tioga, North Dakota. Thank you, Brian. John in Edmonton says, Rod, what's wrong with the Edmonton Oilers lately? I hate to tell you this, John, but that's not my job. That's Chris Knobloch's job to figure out, not mine. Regarding the Flames being dead last in the NHL, man, it really sucks to say that. Jeff the Stamps fan says, embrace it, Flames fans. Remember, Edmonton, Florida, Dallas, etc. have all been there. I guess. It's been a while. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, writes in. He says, I don't know how the Flames have won 3 games with a minus 17 goal differential in their 14 games. The best offense is not a great defense in hockey. No, I know. So everybody's talking about the NHL in Canada. Everybody's talking about the NFL in America. How many are talking about the CFL? That's what a lot of you came here for. It is Hour 1. It's the Canadian Hour here on the Game Plus Television Network. And we do have a Blue Jays update coming up in our sports update a little later on. I don't have in my possession yet the CFL game notes for this weekend's division final games, but they should be coming soon, I'm sure. Talked a little bit yesterday with Scruffy about the point spreads for the game. Kind of shocking to me, really, that Montreal is favored by 1.5 going into Hamilton. A lot of those CFL fans are watching in Southern Ontario right now. I know that. The ratings indicate that. Montreal at Hamilton, which reminds me, that's the poll question today. We only have, this is the last week that we're doing it. What's the game of the week? What's Canada's game of the week in the CFL? There's only 2 games, and they're Saturday. The poll question brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information, emjmarketing.com. Listen, I'm going to say the Western final is my game of the week. To be honest, I haven't even thought that far what I'm doing Saturday yet. I'm just trying to make it through today. But the BC Lions are at Saskatchewan Saturday in the Western final. But let me just back that. I don't even need to check the vote. Our viewership is skewed to Western Canada. That will be winning the poll. Who is Canada's game of the week? It's the BC Lions at Saskatchewan. But listen, we're down to the Final Four. There is a hell of a lot of juice and sizzle to these matchups. And for the CFL fans that watch this show every day, Jeff the Stamps fan was alluding to this way back on Monday, that these are marquee quarterback matchups. To be honest, the CFL should just be salivating and licking their chops at these games. I'm sure they're too busy to have gotten the game notes out to us yet. But when you think about it, I was thinking about this last weekend when I saw the winners of the division semifinals. Jeff the Stamps fan brought this up on Monday. The marquee quarterback battles. Trevor Harris, Bo Levi Mitchell, the old guard. Davis Alexander in Montreal, Nathan Rourke in BC, the new guard. Who wins? The master against the pupil. Yes, son. Some great stories right there if you're into that kind of thing. And when you look at Montreal has the best defense in the East and a quarterback that's never lost a game. He's never lost. You got to pick Montreal to win, don't you? Why even play the game? Here's me sitting here saying we're not making the picks yet, but I'm kind of making the picks here. I'll go with Montreal to win the East final. I'll be watching that. When I say I don't know what I'm doing Saturday, wherever I am, I'll be watching. I saw one of a CFL. Is CJ Rivas still playing? Rivas Island. He was complaining on the weekend that the CFL Plus streaming service wasn't working. I'm like, it's never, ever glitched for me. It's never been a problem. Not one time. Here's me being Mr. CFL guy. I'll support it. Everybody wants to bang on the CFL. I've never had an issue with their streaming service. Not once, ever. He's like, well, where do you live? Are you in Canada? No, I'm in Florida. Never heard back from him. So anyways, I love being able to watch it. I watched it at DeBuck's house Saturday afternoon, the Winnipeg-Montreal game, and I watched the West Final, Stamps Lions at American Bank Arena. I'm a CFL fan. So I've got Montreal to win that game, and the West Final, Nathan Rourke versus Trevor Harris. All the numbers will tell you that Saskatchewan should win. I'll pick Saskatchewan to win. But I'm not close friends with both teams. The BC Lions sent me a photo the other day from their offices. They're watching right now. They watch every day. A couple times they've actually sent me photos from the BC Lions. How can I cheer against them? And Amar Doman, he's my favorite owner in the league. So no, I'm not cheering for the Riders, but I will pick them to win. 3.5-point favorites. John in Edmonton says, I'll be watching the Oilers Saturday instead of the CFL. Not even interested. Well, nor should you be. You're an Elkamos fan. Ken's watching in Mississauga. He says they are equally big games, but I voted for BC versus Sask, game of the week, because if the Riders lose, all of Saskatchewan will be upset. Oh, yeah. And trust me, everybody thinks I'm not following. Oh, I'm following everything. I got a lot of time on my hands. I see everybody's all upset that the game isn't sold out in Saskatchewan. I put it in my commentary this morning. If the Riders win and go to the Grey Cup, nobody will even remember that the game's not sold out, which incidentally, I'm sure it will be come Saturday because the format doesn't, or the forecast doesn't look too bad. -3 Celsius. Oh boy. Okay, we're gonna. I told you I wanted the viewer participation here, co-hosting with me today. I appreciate that when I go solo. Scott checks in. He's watching in Moose Jaw, the home of Western Dodge and the Mad Greek and a lot of our fine sponsors, Ultimate Fan Zone. Scott says, morning, Rod Squad. Got to get my RP time on. Welcome. Like I said, I hope you all enjoy it as much as I do hosting it. A little escape from reality for a couple hours, wouldn't you say? Laverne's watching in Speedy Creek. He says, 22-year-old Wyatt Johnston is a stud for Dallas. I think he has a great chance of cracking Canada's Olympic roster. I was watching him the other night. Stars were here playing the Panthers. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is all-world who's centering the second line for Dallas. That is a very good team, the Dallas Stars. Where's Allie from Texas, by the way? Is she here? Sitting here talking about her teams. And you might find this amazing. To be honest, I did. There's a bigger hockey community here in South Florida than you would think, but it's still not very big. But the other night in the press box, one of the guys, Alex Baumgartner, reporter from CBS Sports Network, had opened his laptop, and we were looking for at the pools for the Olympics for the hockey. Did you know there's 12 teams there, which is pretty interesting when you think about it, because there are only 10 in the World Juniors, and Russia's not part of either one of them. But I would have a very tough time seeing Wyatt Johnston on Team Canada for the Olympics because there's just too many good players. I think the bigger decisions are on Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini and this kid, Matthew Schaefer of the Islanders. I don't expect he's going to make the team, but the number 1 overall pick from last year just set a record for being the youngest player in NHL history to score multiple goals in a game, beating the record set by Bobby Orr. When you are setting records held by Bobby Orr, you're doing something. Brent from Wellington, Florida, writes in, hello, Brent. Good to hear from you. He says, are we getting any CBS sports coverage down here for Saturday of the CFL games? We don't need it. It's on CFL Plus. They'll be showing college football. Do we want to go back and forth with the Rudy Poos? That's right, John from Edmonton. You're a Rudy Poo. I said, I don't blame you for not watching the CFL playoff games. You're an Elkamos fan. He writes in, he says, actually, Rod, I'm a CFL fan. Then quit your bitching and watch the playoffs on Saturday then. Don't give me a headache, John in Edmonton. You said you weren't going to be watching because you're not interested, so clearly you're not a fan. So shove it. 902-518-3033 is the Western Dodge text line. That woke him up, eh? Producer Corey? That would have woken him up. Would have woken everybody up. Where the hell was I? Hey, by the way, does your message stand out? At Outlaw Communications, we make sure it does. Tony Plater brings 35 years of communication and leadership expertise, from media training and leadership coaching to strategic crisis planning and compelling content. He'll help you lead with confidence. Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. Again, 902-518-3033. Brent, if you just showed up, what we covered earlier were my NHL top 5, bottom 5. It's just bizarro world in the National Hockey League right now, which I feel like it always is this time of year, but we're creeping really close to U.S. Thanksgiving, which in the U.S., you know what they call U.S. Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving. They don't distinguish that there even is another one. But anyways, it's November 27th. It's a big day for me. My point being, U.S. Thanksgiving is supposed to be the cutoff line where you know who's what, especially about your own team. But the Anaheim Ducks have their first place in the Pacific Division. And they mollywopped the Florida Panthers last night, 7-3. My God, the sky is falling here in Florida. And part of the reason why I'm wearing this Panthers top right now is because we're doing the Panthers Lightning podcast this afternoon, Cats and Bolts, and everybody's like, what do you think about Sam Bennett? What do you think about this? Bizarro world. Anaheim first place in the Pacific Division. The Montreal Canadiens are first place in the entire Eastern Conference. What the hell? I don't think that's slowing down. And sorry for jumping all over the place here, but it is my show. What we also talked about, Brent from Wellington, was the NFL trade deadline yesterday, which, to be honest, it actually was a thing. I didn't see anybody doing an NFL trade deadline special show, similar to what we have in Canada with the NHL trade deadline frenzy, where everybody's going nuts, every network. But there were 10 trades consummated between Monday and Tuesday. And I don't understand what people aren't seeing with the Dallas Cowboys. Everybody's all horny that the Cowboys went out and got defensive tackle Quinnen Williams from the New York Jets. And I was kind of hoping to hear from Ryan McCarthy from upstate New York. He hasn't checked in here today. He's one of the biggest New York Jets fans that I know. The Jets are selling off cornerstone pieces to their franchise. Shutdown corner and Sauce Gardner, D-tackle and Quinnen Williams. Remember when he was drafted He's going to save the Jets. Meanwhile, here they are, the worst team in the NFL again. And I think you all know by now I don't have the sound up when I'm watching the broadcasts anymore, and haven't for a long time. But I guess Troy Aikman said during the Monday night broadcast, when the Cowboys were getting mollywopped by Washington, this isn't a defense that looks like it's a player away from contending. Yet the Cowboys go out and pick up 2 players, a linebacker and a D tackle, and then this is going to save their season. They're not anywhere close even to a playoff spot right now. And this is what my old color commentator, Carm Cartieri, called grab bag. There's no plan. You got rid of Micah Parsons, which we're still trying to figure out what Green Bay is, but at least they're going to be in the playoffs. There's no plan in Dallas with the Cowboys. Does anybody think there's a plan? Well, at least they're not giving up on their season. There's that. But hang on. We see. We have a lot of things on the table today. And I appreciate now everybody chiming in. And thank you, Brent, answering the bell when I said I was looking for topics. Let's get more. We'll be right back, everybody, here on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live podcast, and Mission Radio.
Country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band, Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at zasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And how about that? I took my glasses off. I don't know where I put them. It's okay. I can still read. We do the Junior Hockey Report every day at this time. Brought to you by the Mad Greek Eatery in Moose Jaw. Here's a report for you. Saturday evening's game, the Regina Pats at the Moose Jaw Warriors, was supposed to be 6 p.m., but it has been moved to 2:30 p.m. in the Rempel Temple because of the Western Final. The BC Lions at the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Again, Saturday's game, 6 p.m. in Moose Jaw, has been moved to 2:30. Pats at Warriors, greatest rivalry in junior hockey. And either way, stop in at the Mad Greek before the game or after and say hey to Johnny Utridis, the Mad Greek. Experience authentic Greek flavors right in Moose Jaw at the Mad Greek Eatery, open until 11 p.m. Oh, by the way, as we're rolling, just to get through our topics, RJ Barrett and Scotty Barnes each scored 23 points for the Raptors in a 128-100 win over the visiting Milwaukee Bucks. 6 Toronto players hit double figures as the victory extended the Raps' win streak to a season-high 3 games. And might as well throw in a college football point from point 5. Ohio State gets top billing in the first college football playoff rankings of the season. It came down Tuesday night, followed by Indiana, Texas A&M, and Alabama. The top 3 head into the final 4 weeks of the regular season undefeated. Another team with no losses, BYU of the Big 12, is ranked 7th. At number 5 was Georgia, followed by Mississippi. Now, as I said, you guys have answered the bell, and I appreciate you for doing so. I said I'm flying solo here today. I love when the viewers are the co-hosts. Regarding my top 5, bottom 5, Brent from Wellington, Florida says, after last night's beating, I'd be tempted to put the Panthers in the bottom 5. You better tune in this afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Eastern as we'll go live with the Cats and Bolts podcast. We'll dissect this thing. Utah Darren writes in, he says, salty Rod, I love it. Must be hump day. I'm just not in the mood for people's crap most days, but especially not today. I thank you, Ryan McCarthy, Cardinal Ryan, for checking in from Saratoga, New York. He's the biggest New York Jets fan I know. I said, where are you on the Jets selling off cornerstone pieces here? Going into another rebuild. Ryan was watching. He responds. He says, I figured Quinnen Williams was going to be on the way out. He requested a trade 3 times. Didn't want to be a part of another rebuild, but Sauce Gardner being traded was an absolute shock. It's funny. So as I said, I'm over-prepared for the show today. I was doing a lot of reading on this, and it's not like I can't figure this stuff out on my own. I'm reading an article on The Athletic, one of the few pay sites that I will pay for, and the analyst, I can't even remember his name, was saying it's all great for the Jets to acquire picks for these guys, but do we have faith that they're going to pick the right players at the draft? I'm like, well, I could have figured that out. They don't even have a quarterback. Justin Fields is not that. And that's the fun rub, and that's what we can get into with this show today if you want, because it's just me for now praying Matthew Barnaby joins us next hour. Hasn't responded to my messages today, but on one hand, you'd like to think when a team says goodbye to a player, it's because they know or they don't think he can get it done, like Justin Fields with the Bears. Look what they're doing now with Caleb Williams. Yet, Baker Mayfield up in Tampa Bay has been shown the door by multiple organizations. And all he does is win, and he's leading the Buccaneers to another division title. So not everybody knows what they're doing. And I wouldn't necessarily say the Bears know what they're doing, but I think we can all agree the Jets don't know what they're doing, which is another thing. I want to talk NHL with Matthew Barnaby, but also as the Jets fan and a Buffalo guy. For those that can't hang on to when Barney's with us next hour, the question was this: how can the Pegula family that owns both the Bills and the Sabres have one of the best teams in the NFL perennially in the Bills and one of the worst teams in the NHL perennially, the Sabres, if it always starts at the top? And what Barney explained, I'm going to ask him to explain it again and maybe a little more deeply, is that NFL owners, that is a very tight group. And I think that's true. They're all in it together for the collective good. NHL owners and hockey owners in general aren't all in it together. They're all in it for themselves. I've seen it firsthand. So nobody's lining up to help the Buffalo Sabres, clearly, in any regard. But in the NFL, they do. Sharing of resources. I don't really know how it works because I haven't been in the inside, but I have been on the inside with the hockey, and I see how that works. That was Barney's explanation as to how one family can own two teams, one be good, one be bad. Mayday 10 writes in, and I appreciate you for that. He says, if the Bills didn't get Josh Allen, they would still be in the dust like the Sabres. But they did. You're not wrong. There's some luck involved in that. I was talking to my advisor the other day, Lisa. She's like, you need to do more reading. I'm like, I agree. I never did finish Doug McLean's book, Draft Day. Mayday, I think you're a U.S. viewer. You may not know who Doug McLean is, but very good coach and GM of the Florida Panthers and Columbus Blue Jackets. And he said there is such a thing as luck. He's like, the Columbus Blue Jackets have never won the draft lottery in the NHL. So Pittsburgh getting Sidney Crosby, Oilers getting McDavid, Leafs getting Matthews, or the Patriots, your Patriots getting Tom Brady in the 6th round. I mean, some of these work out, some of them don't, and Josh Allen has worked out. So that's a really good point. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But they did get him. I'm dying to chat with Matthew Barnaby next hour, but he's the kind of guy that we can ring up a phone bill, and we always do when we're together. Well, and Brent in Florida makes a really good point. He says one is worth billions, the other is worth millions. Which one do you pay more attention to? Yeah, or stay out of the damn way. Because we just had the Vegas Golden Knights through here. Jack Eichel was a number 1 overall pick by the Buffalo Sabres. How do you let that guy get out the door? Or Sam Reinhart. All these great Sabres that have moved on to other teams. That's the point. It's not like they didn't have stars. This ain't the Buffalo show, but it's a head scratcher, is it not? Thank you, John in Edmonton. He says, Rod, sorry for earlier. I'll watch the CFL, but I'll be focused on the Oilers. That, by the way, is the other thing. It is 2025. Can we not do two things at once? I laugh about this. Oh, we can't go up against the Stanley Cup playoffs without kicking off the CFL season. Why not? I think we can all watch both. I guess there's maybe not a lot of people across the country that are sports nerds like us, but that's why we all come together and talk about these things here. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, had the Sabres been able to draft Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby, it may be different for the Sabres. No. Well, I just covered that. They did draft one of those guys in Jack Eichel because, again, the Golden Knights were just through here in Sunrise, and Paul Maurice, the coach of the Panthers, goes, that guy is possibly the best player in the NHL right now, Jack Eichel. So they had one who, incidentally, already has a Stanley Cup ring on his finger from the Golden Knights. So Buffalo keeps fumbling things on the hockey side and perennially is a contender on the football side. It really doesn't make any sense. Brent from Wellington, Florida, by the way, when I say stay out of the way, the owners, he says, have you ever seen someone with that kind of money stay out of their own way? Yeah, Stan Kroenke, the owner of the Rams, LA Rams, who has a Super Bowl, the owner of the Avalanche, who's got a Stanley Cup ring, the owner of the Colorado Mammoth, who has an NLL championship ring, some soccer team he owns, they won it all. Stan Kroenke. Stan Kroenke should be holding seminars for other owners on how to win, because not only has he won championships with one team, which is incredibly hard to do, he's won them with all of his teams. So he's the exception that proves the rule. I get it. And, don't get me going on about Jerry Jones. He's sitting there backtracking about trading Micah Parsons to your Packers and explaining why they did it with 800 different excuses except for the real one. And it's that he challenged you, Jerry, and you can't handle it. And now your team's gone down the toilet because of your ego. And that's the thing that ticks me off as a Cowboys fan, that nobody else can see this. Now, I do get a little triggered on these things, and I have PTSD from working for guys like that. But That's why won't anybody say it? Jerry, you're the problem. You're the problem, Jerry. But again, I don't lose sleep over it. Trust me, I do not. We're getting into it, aren't we? We'll be right back. It's just getting good. Sports update, more viewer takeover when we come back. Matthew Barnaby in hour 2. We're live on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live podcast, and 1700 AM Mission Radio.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, we just continue right along. Like those commercial breaks are just an inconvenience, but they get us paid. So I get it. Yeah. And also, I should mention, don't just watch it. Wear it. The RP Show, the store is open. Shop at rodpedersen.com. Click on RP Show store. We got t-shirts, we got hoodies, we got hats, we got coffee mugs. Yeah. I don't know how on these Wednesdays when it's just me, we end up getting into the ownership stories and ownership talk, which is fine. Brent's an owner, my buddy here from Florida. He loves that talk, and me too. But you know, we're just, and if the viewers really knew That is where it all begins and ends, with your sports teams, your TV and radio stations, your newspapers, your corner store. Do you have a good owner or do you have a bad owner? And by the way, it's funny, I opened up the text line here. Dave from Niagara Falls, Ontario. Such a beautiful place. I'm so happy to have gone there in June. Dave writes in and says, I just got your replay on YouTube. Thanks for having Hebsy on. Mark Hebsher yesterday, the renowned sportscaster, now author, with his book, Madness, The Rise and Ruin of Sports Media. I'm going to write, I think, a little more detailed review of the book. He's sent me the book. It was nice of him to do that. Oh, my God, it was such an honor to have him on. But he really takes Harold Ballard to task. And, again, that's like those Leaf players and alum. I don't want to name them because I respect them so much. I know that we have so many Leaf fan viewers, especially in that age demographic, that remember the Ballard era and how terrible it was. But I don't want to out those guys. Certainly the way Dave Keon was treated, Dave wasn't the only guy. He might have been treated the worst of all those old Leafs, but they all were. And a lot of them won't talk about that era. And that's part of the reason why I'm sitting in front of you right now. I mean, one day I may end up going back and working for a team, but it would have to be the right team, because I spent decades as voices of teams. And I remember one, like this morning on the radio, they were talking about Jerry Jones. Like, maybe Jerry Jones should coach. I'm like, no, don't say that, because he will. And what they're saying is Jerry's holding on because he wants to prove that he can win a Super Bowl without Jimmy Johnson, which ironically he did with Barry Switzer, but still. I remember sitting around with an owner one time, and I am not going to tell you the team or anything, but I worked for the team, and the guy goes, yeah, maybe I should coach, staring off into the distance. And I'm like, what do we say to that? No, you shouldn't. And thank God he never did. I mean, but yeah, it's just, where was I? Carlos in Indianapolis writes in, he says, almost had a Rod's rant there. Yeah, Kevin, the medium, we work very closely. He's like, you've come a long way. I can see it in you. You just when you're about to snap, you should have seen me before. I used to snap way more than I do now. Mayday. By the way, where are you? I appreciate you. We got so many new viewers here, and I don't know how you found us. He says Jerry should stick to building the brand, shaking hands. Let a real GM run the team. Yeah, we all know that. We know that as Cowboys fans. He says, what would be better as an owner, winning a Stanley Cup or Super Bowl with the two teams you own? I think they would settle, or winning 6 with one team, a.k.a. Bob Kraft. Dude, this is a fantastic question. Would you rather win 6 Super Bowls with one of your teams or one in each sport if you own 2? I think it's definitely both. But that's a really good point. With regards to owners, John Ohm from Winnipeg writes in. He says, did David Braley own 2 CFL teams? BC Lions, Toronto Argonauts way back when? Nice guy, probably saved the league back then. Well, let's look forward, not back. Yeah, Braley was notoriously cheap. And I had a lot of friends that worked for him. Working for him wasn't really fun. It's not that he wasn't a good guy. I think he was a good guy. He was just really cheap. I will say this, and Brent can attest, I think he's been around the Florida people, the Panthers people, and the Lightning people too, because I got friends in both organizations. Those are great owners. Vincent Viola here in Florida and Jeff Vinnick up in Tampa Bay. I say up in Tampa Bay because geographically they are up from us. They've been in the last 6 Stanley Cup finals. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but you talk to any Panthers or Lightning employee, they're happy people. They go to work happy. They get treated well. I'd work for guys like that. But some of the guys I work for finished me. Tony in Concord, Alberta writes in, he says, Dave Keon, my childhood idol. What a sad story for a great star and humble man. Well, and it's, for any that didn't know, Dave Keon's exit from the Leafs treated unbelievably terribly by Harold Ballard. If anybody doesn't know, it is in Mark Hebscher's book. I really enjoyed that. Madness, The Rise and Ruin of Sports Media. Available wherever you get your books. Producer Corey has written in and says, Apparently, he just had a missionary knocking on his door while producing the show. You should have answered, Corey. You need it. Sports update. I'm teasing. Sports update. He couldn't hit the button because I didn't want to offend him. He went quiet there for a sec. Ultimate Fan Zone brings you the sports updates. Shane Bieber is staying with the Toronto Blue Jays. The right-handed pitcher has picked up his player option instead of testing free agency. The 2020 AL Cy Young Award winner returned from Tommy John surgery in August after joining Toronto at the trade deadline. Meanwhile, Saskatchewan Huskies receiver Daniel Weeb has been named the 2025 Canada West Football Player of the Year. The homegrown Saskatoon product recorded an impressive triple crown, leading all conference receivers in total receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Huskies are losing to the Rams this Saturday in the Hardy Cup at Griffith Stadium. The Toronto Maple Leafs host a Utah Mammoth tonight after storming back from a 3-0 deficit to beat Pittsburgh 4-3 on Monday. Toronto looks to carry that third-period surge into its matchup with Utah, which has won 8 of its last 10. Calgary entertains Columbus, while Vancouver faces Chicago in the other games involving Canadian teams. Rory McIlroy says Live Golf's move to 72-hole events is peculiar. The Saudi-backed league is switching from 3 rounds to 4 next year. And Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is backing a new LPGA event in Las Vegas. The tour will co-sanction the Aramco Championship with the Ladies European Tour in April. It'll be played at Shadow Creek for a $4 million purse. That is your sports update, proudly presented by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Get your game day gear in store or online at ultimatefanzone.ca. As I mentioned, the Warriors are home to the Calgary Hitmen tonight. Stop in there and say hey to Billy at Ultimate Fan Zone and Johnny at the Mad Greek. Great buddies, great partners, and sponsors of this show. Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in and says, Bieber opting in is a huge win for the Jays. I hope this means they will extend him. Which, that would have been a poll question. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. Every Wednesday we do the CFL one, right? What's the game of the week in the CFL? This is one of the most lopsided results we've ever had. 92% of people in the EMJ marketing poll are voting for the BC Lions, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the West Final, which I knew that they would. I think a better poll question would have been, and if you can remind me tomorrow, will the Blue Jays be back in the World Series within 5 years? I'm going to say yes. My vote would be yes, and I think that would be what the predominant vote would be. We don't know the answer to that, but they certainly are on the right track. Kenny in Vancouver writes in and says, start your day with a smile and then turn on the RP show and keep on smiling. I don't think I have ever heard the term mollywopped until you said it, Rod. Have a great day, or as we say in the recovery rooms, have a great 24. You bet, buddy. Thank you, Kenny, in Vancouver. It's what somebody told me. It's what somebody told me recently. They said, Rod, you're exactly what this world needs right now. Bringing people together. Valuing people, because we've just gone so far. We've lost our way as a world, haven't we? But here for 2 hours anyways, you can check your brain at the door, have fun, and not get too serious, except for John in Edmonton when he pisses me off. But even he saw the error of his ways and apologized. Producer Corey just said in my ear, if that was Producer Corey, it might have been God. He said he's on a mission from God. Oh, me? Yeah, I am. That's fact. Kirk from Toronto says there is no such thing as game of the week. He's watching on Game Plus TV. When it's the playoffs, all playoff games are games of the week until the Grey Cup. He says, I'm trying to get Junior on that go train down to the Hammer for Saturday's Eastern final. Bo Levi versus Alexander should be a slobber knocker. Hamilton is well rested, playing 1 game in the last 4 weeks. Yeah, or rusty. But hey, Kirk, you've been trying for days. I've got the string of your text you've sent. You've been trying for days to get your son to go to Hamilton. I think you have your answer. But that's okay. We'll be watching no matter what. The stadium holds 24,000, so it'll be sold out. It's a pittance compared to the real stadiums. Laverne in Speedy Creek writes in, says, Davey Keon, best backhand in NHL history. Played with a straight hockey stick. Does anyone still do that? Of course not. Nobody plays with a straight stick anymore. Who invented the slap shot? Bernie Jeffrion, right? Doug Sauter invented the curved goal stick, for those that don't know, with the Estevan Bruins. Because his coach, Ernie Punch McLean, said, why do you have a curve in your goal stick? And Doug said, because it's easier to fish the puck out of the net. Go! Utah Darren writes in, he says, Wednesday is a busy day for the Mormon missionaries. BW from Edmonton says, Shane Doan will have to watch from the neutral zone. Josh Doan traded to Buffalo in the offseason. Shane's in Leafs management. Well, it's funny. That's the whole other thing. And Shane Doan, supposedly part of a group trying to bring the Coyotes back to Utah or an NHL team. How does that work? Oh, there's different rules for everybody. We know that. I've benefited from that in the past. Hour 2 is coming up. Matthew Barnaby will be with us. Here's hoping. 902-518-3033. Either way, you can help me out with your questions. That's the text line. We'll be right back.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Oh, yeah. Couldn't be happier talking sports on a Wednesday. Welcome to the RP Show, everybody. Where I know it's your favorite sports talk show because you're watching, right? Or listening, if that's your thing. And I'm in a particularly good mood because I just heard from our guest, Matthew Barnaby will be with us for sure. Coming up in the second segment of this fun program here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network across Nevada and across Canada and 32 U.S. states on the Game Plus television network, plus a variety of other platforms. Yeah, giddy. I got a lot of things to get to with Barney. Oh, boy, Barney. Matthew Barnaby. For those that don't know, because we have a lot of new viewers, and I realize we're getting old, Matthew Barnaby has did play 834 NHL games. He's from Ottawa, Ontario. Played in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League with the Quebec Rempart. Played with the Buffalo Sabres, Pittsburgh Penguins, Tampa Bay Lightning, New York Rangers, Colorado Avalanche, Chicago Blackhawks, and Dallas Stars. Close personal friend of mine, 18th all-time in NHL penalty minutes. He's coming up in the next segment. He can not just talk NHL, but he can also talk NFL and a variety of other things, and he watches our show every single day in Ottawa on Game Plus TV. So Barney is going to be with us. Where's my bell? Oh, right here. Let's go with a quick six show topics. I've jigged him a little bit from what the hour one viewers saw on Game Plus. Here in hour two, the big story is the NFL trade deadline. I think we're still talking about it. The Colts went all in. We have viewers from that fan base. Shout out Carlos. The Eagles were aggressive. We have some Eagles viewers, of course. And somehow the Jets still have fans. The New York Jets look to the future. NFL teams were active leading up to Tuesday's deadline. In the weeks, days, and minutes before on Tuesday, the wildest moves coming out of the Big Apple. Two-time All-Pro cornerback Sauce Gardner went from the Jets to Indianapolis for 2 first-round picks. The Jets also sent 3-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Quinnen Williams to Dallas in another blockbuster deal for a second-round pick in 2026 and a first-round pick in 2027. I just want to say this. And for Carlos in Indianapolis, I don't know if you were watching earlier, how's it playing in Indiana that the Colts have pretty much pulled off a worst to first scenario? And the differences are the quarterback, Daniel Jones, and the owner, Carly Ursay. Her dad, Jim Ursay, the Super Bowl winning owner with the Colts, passing away in the offseason. She's assumed control of the team. And I'm seeing these memes going around. Like, you don't throw around first-round picks. Like, I know Sauce Gardner's a great player, but 2 first-round picks? I saw a meme of her that said, F them picks, which is kind of the way some teams do business now. The LA Rams did it, and they won a Super Bowl with it. Trades and credit card spending, signing OBJ, acquiring Jalen Ramsey. It worked to win a Super Bowl there. Tampa Bay Lightning doing it in the NHL. They don't care about picks. They trade them like crazy. And I don't know. When Jim Irsay passed, and I heard he had 3 daughters, I'm like, which one's the crazy one? Because there's always one. I'm the one in my family. It's, I think, Carly. And she's kicking some ass. And I just, again, this transformation with the Colts, can we not forget that it wasn't that long ago, Jeff Saturday, the ESPN analyst, former Colts offensive lineman, was brought in to coach on the interim for the rest of the year. That's what a disaster. That would be like the Bombers bringing in, for the CFL fans, Milt Stegall in the middle of the season to coach the team because there's nobody else. All of a sudden, they're loading up at the trade deadline and they're Super Bowl favorites ahead of the Chiefs. Ahead of, according to the analytics I've seen, the Bills, which is another thing when Matthew Barnaby joins us next hour from, I believe, Halifax is where he's at today. Played for the Sabres for a very long time. He knows the inner workings of the Sabres and the Crosstown Bills, owned by the same family, the Pagula family, and so many people want to know, which I don't know the answer to this. I'm kind of new. I'm somewhat new to the U.S. sports scene, having only lived here 5 years. When you consider how long there's been sports, that's not very long. How can the Sabres be so bad and the Bills be so good and be owned by one family when we all know success starts at the top? It doesn't compute. And if there was an Owner of the Year award, can you imagine if there was an Owner of the Year award in the National Football League, or for that matter, any league? Who would win it? It's got to be Carly Ursay. Although it's not done yet. We haven't handed out the Super Bowl yet. But can you imagine the nefarious under-the-table cash that would be going around from the owners to win that award, the owner of the year? Oh, my God, that would be. I know who's not going to win it. Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. And I don't want to be that every day ragging on my team, the Dallas Cowboys, but it's just, how can you all not see what a grab bag move this was? And I said it last hour, and I don't want to say it again other than I'll just paraphrase by saying Jerry Jones is dancing around his decision to trade Micah Parsons in the spring, giving 800 excuses why he did it, except for the real one, and that was Micah had the nerve to challenge him in contract negotiations, and that was the end of it. I don't want to go any further than that. It's just sad. Carlos, thanks for answering the bell. The local Colts fan, he says the changes in ownership has worked out well for the Colts. Despite how it happened, it's become a nice storyline, i.e. dad passing away and it getting passed to the kids. As for Jones, I think the public is finally their perception based in his New York Giants days. Oh, Daniel Jones. Well, whatever. I see what I'm seeing on TV when I watch the games. The guy's all that. Even Giants fans are saying clearly he wasn't the problem, even though they try to portray him as he was the problem in New York. 902-518-3033 is the text line. It's brought to you by Western Dodge. Ready for a new ride? Head to Western Dodge where the deals are real and the service is legendary. From the National Hockey League, because we are a very big NHL show, quickly, the Montreal Canadiens, in what I would call the game of the night, of the 10 in the NHL Tuesday, went to a shootout with Philadelphia, lost 5-4, but it was a hell of a hockey game. If I have it right, because there's so many games going through this cranium of mine, Flyers were up 3-0 when I turned it on. Habs came back and led 4-3. Philly comes back, forces overtime. They go to the shootout. Flyers win. Bob's your uncle. And we're all entertained. We're all going nuts. Ivan Demidov is now the rookie leading scorer in the NHL, probably going to win Rookie of the Year. And the Montreal Canadiens are the youngest team in the NHL. We covered that last week on my Cats and Bolts podcast. We do Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning. And we're, by the way, doing another edition of that show later today. We'll look for it on YouTube. Cats and Bolts, Florida's most watched hockey show. Also watch the Carolina Hurricanes blanking the New York Rangers 3-0. The Rangers just not only can they not win at home, they can't score at home. A lot of people suffer from that. Elsewhere, Dallas beat Edmonton 4-3 in a shootout. LA blanked Winnipeg 3-0, snapping a Jets win streak. And the Vegas Golden Knights got past Detroit 1-0. I can't even remember the name, and I'm embarrassed to say this, of the goalie for the Golden Knights. He played when they were here in Sunrise. Shakira, something like that. He's knocked around the NHL for a couple of years. Got the shutty last night against the Detroit Red Wings, a pretty good team. And that all got me thinking about my top 5, bottom 5 that I do every week. We're moving it up in the show. Normally save it for later. Number 1 team in the NHL is the Colorado Avalanche. They beat Tampa last night, right? Don't matter. The standings show Colorado's number 1 in the NHL, and they have an NHL leading plus-minus of plus 13 goal differential. Colorado number 1. Number 2, the Winnipeg Jets. Despite their loss last night in LA, they're the reigning President's Trophy champions, and they will be there in the end. Number 3 is the surprising Montreal Canadiens. You can't deny them anymore. Let's not forget, Sam Montembeault, their goalie, was the backup on the Four Nations face-off team last year, which tells you he is the second-best Canadian goalie in the world, second-best Canadian goalie in Canada. Not to mention all this flashy young talent they have. Montreal's number 3. Number 4, the Utah Mammoth, because their 8 wins in 10 games makes them the hottest team in the NHL right now. I still think the pumpkin is going to show up at midnight or however that works, but it hasn't yet. And number 5 is the Vegas Golden Knights, which is higher than they probably should be because I believe as of today they're 10th overall in the standings. And I had them at number 1 last week, but they will be fine, the Vegas Golden Knights. Your bottom 5 teams are these. Starting at the very bottom, the Calgary Flames. I don't want to talk about it. Their coach is a good friend of mine. I don't know what's going on there, but I can't ignore it anymore. Calgary is the worst team in the NHL. Number 2, second worst team, 31st overall, is the St. Louis Blues. I don't expect that to last. Third worst team, number 30, is the San Jose Sharks. By the time this is all said and done, I'm pretty sure they will be last. Number 29, the Minnesota Wild. They've got the highest paid player in the game. They will figure it out at some point, but for now, nah. They're fourth worst team in the NHL, and fifth worst is the Chicago Blackhawks because the pumpkin has shown up for the Blackhawks at the United Center. And before long, it will be showing up in Utah. It just hasn't yet. You're welcome, top 5, bottom 5 in the NHL. No charge. But our picks are brought to you every week by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Cathedral. Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Trucking along, as we said, the NBA team of this show is the Toronto Raptors. I see no reason for that to change. Not at least until they get an NBA team in Las Vegas, and I don't think that's going to be anytime soon. As we air on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, we are airing in Toronto One Game Plus. They have the Raptors, who are going on a nice little heater here. RJ Barrett and Scotty Barnes each scored 23 points for the Raps in a 128-100 win over the visiting Milwaukee Bucks. 6 Toronto players hit double figures as the victory extended the Raptors' win streak to a season-high 3 games. 8 in the NBA tonight. No, 11 in the NBA tonight, including the Miami Heat at the Denver Nuggets for those that observe. From the audience, what do we have? Oh, Akira Schmidt. Thank you for that. The CFL people have showed up. Arlen Bruce. Hey, AB. 2-time Grey Cup champion and former Kansas City Chief. Says, hey, RP. Hope to see the Lions versus the Tiger Cats in the 2025 Grey Cup. It should bring the Cougars out. LOL. Dad joke. It would be a cat fight. I got you, AB. It's scary that we're on the same. It's really scary to me that we're on the same mental thing. Oh, while we're at it, and for those that observe that, a couple of things. It's 11 minutes past the hour. Visualize a positive outcome to your current quagmire. What do you got to lose? Expect the best instead of expecting the worst is another way of saying that. For those that observe, our poll question, we do it every Wednesday, and this is the last Wednesday that we will do it of the calendar of the Canadian Football League year. What's Canada's game of the week in the CFL? The division finals are this Saturday in the Canadian Football League. There's even Canadians that aren't aware that they moved the games to Saturday. So here we are. We're telling you, free of charge. Montreal Alouettes at the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the East Division final. The West Division final is the BC Lions at the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Our poll question is brought to you by EMJ Marketing. It's the Speakers Bureau that represents me and Stu Grimson and Lauren Mulliken and Corey Mace and Jim Barker and all these guys. 92% of respondents saying the game of the week is BC at Saskatchewan. We got to get this back on the road. And it's my fault. I took the off-ramp. Cardinal Ryan says, they can't score. A lot of people at home have that problem. Hey-oh. Yeah. AB's talking about Cougars. We need to get this out of the ditch. 902-518-3033. In the couple of minutes that we have left here, we were talking last hour about owners, which is a lot of what I want to talk about with Matthew Barnaby when he joins us next. 18th all-time NHL penalty minutes. And to prep him, because Barney knows, he's probably logged in now, how do the Sabres and the Bills have the same owner and one team sucks and one team's good? He's answered that question before on this show. I want him to answer it again, but we were talking about bad owners, and I've worked for some real bad ones. And in Mark Hebscher's book, and we had Hebsy on yesterday talking about it, he went fairly deep into the book. He didn't need to, about how Harold Ballard treated former Leafs captain Dave Keon so unbelievably poorly. And the viewers were writing in about Keon playing with a straight stick. And the question came up, who's the last guy to play with a straight stick? Laverne in Speedy Creek writes in, he thanks ChatGPT for this, but says the last player to use a straight hockey stick was likely Adrian Aucoin, who played until 2011 and was considered one of the last to still use wooden sticks that were straight. How about that? Barney could probably confirm or deny. And again, I won't read his resume when he comes on with us next because I want to get all the time on hockey. So his stats, 834 NHL games with the Sabres, Penguins, Lightning, Rangers, Avs, Blackhawks, and Stars. Matthew Barnaby joins us next to answer your NHL and NFL questions. And I see he's working with Bet365. I should mention that we're brought to you by CoolBet Canada. Claim your welcome bet bonus up to $200 with the promo code RP200 at coolbet.com. Canadian viewers only. Sorry. If you got questions for Barney, fire them my way. 902-518-3033 on the Western Dodge text line. And we'll be right back. We're live across Nevada on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and across Canada on Game Plus TV.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
RP Show continues. Hour 2 brought to you in part by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. Barney's teeth are always shining like new. You in Halifax, Barney?
I am. Just landed a few hours ago. Yeah, hockey helps the homeless in Halifax. My first time doing it, so pretty excited. Second time I've been here in like 3 weeks, so I feel like I live here now.
Such a grand town, the home of Brad Marchand. Well, listen, Barney, this won't surprise you. The viewers all got a ton of questions for you. So before I turn them loose on you, you saw what we were talking about earlier. Can you explain this? Because it came up earlier. How do the Bills and the Sabres have the same owners? One team's perennially a contender and the other's perennially junk. How do you explain that when ownership, it starts at the top?
Yeah, I can only speak from the Sabre side. Now, this is what I've heard in the past, that when you buy an NFL franchise and you're looking for a GM and coach, that there is a committee that you can go to and they will help you through that search and they will help you find a GM. They aren't going to tell you who to pick as GM, but there is a committee that I have been told that will lay out the best people that they think are available for that. And then they go to the coach from there. That's what I've been told because I've asked that question many a times. As for the Sabres, obviously we're talking about Terry Pagula and his whole family in that order. I know from a standpoint from the start, let's just say the first 9-10 years of him taking over the Sabres, that they were actually making moves behind the scenes and having meetings and giving their input and really their input in signing players, drafting players, whatever it may be. So an owner that makes their money fracking oil and made billions of dollars, you stick with what you're good at. Stick with what you're good at. I think that's just everything in life. If you're good at talking on air, do it. I don't mind talking on air. I wasn't a bad hockey player, but if you tell me to put together an IKEA set or fix how to set up the TVs, I'm going to hire someone or get my buddy who knows how to do it because they do it a lot better than I.
Oh, my guy. When I owned farmland, I was like, do you think I'm telling the farmer what to put in the ground? Just put it in. Send me the check. Exactly. My God, I'm not that guy. One last football question, because you're here to talk hockey, obviously, but you're the Jets fan. Woody Johnson clearly doesn't answer those calls from the committee of how helps you run your team. Like, how do you feel about what the Jets did here at the trade deadline?
Man, listen, Woody Johnson, he's meddled into everything along the way. It's been a tough 15 years, and as an avid Jets fan and a big supporter, I'm not jumping ship. They weren't winning with Sauce Gardner, and they weren't winning with Quinnen Williams. Both those guys are superstars in the league. Having said that, we're not winning in the next few years. Why not stockpile the picks and give the new regime a chance to make their moves? And they're going to have multiple first round, second round, third round picks coming up in the coming drafts. You have to hit with a quarterback. That's been the issue. If you don't have a goaltender in the National Hockey League, you're not a perennial hockey team. If you don't have a perennial star quarterback, you're not a perennial playoff team in the NFL. We haven't had one in at least 15 years, so it's been a tough run, and hopefully we can find one.
Okay, let's talk about funner things for you. Brent, my buddy Brent in Florida says, hey, Barney, who is the current player that you think best represents how you played the game?
Well, listen, I'm not comparing myself to these guys, but I think you have to look at the Tkachuk brothers. Now, they're a better hockey player than I was. They score more points. There's not many guys, that play the style that I did that had the kind of ice time. You either go from like a Matt Rempe or you go from a Ryan Reeves to like a Tkachuk, a Marchand, or Brady Tkachuk, and I'm talking Matthew. But the difference between the Tkachuks and Marchand is the way that they play, and they're all stars. But I can put up 30 to 40 points some years, draw people into penalties, fight when I needed to. But what those guys do better than anyone I've ever seen is they're ones that can piss you off, be under your skin, have the other team's fans absolutely hate you, drive you nuts, draw the penalty, and they're the ones that go out on the power play and score the goal. And I think that's the caveat of what they do best is they can piss you off. They can be the rats. They can be the shit disturbers. But at the end of the day, they're also the stars on the other team, which makes them that valuable to their team.
Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in. He says, Barney, by the way, does anybody call you Matthew? Does anybody call you Matthew?
My mom, when I'm in trouble. Yeah. It's Barney, Bam Bam. There's a plethora. Yeah, she's the only one.
Darcy says, Barney, is Ivan Demidov the real deal?
He certainly is. I think you watch him, what he's doing every given night. Last night was no exception. I mean, cautiously optimistic last year when a kid has that much fanfare coming to Montreal, and he looked good. But at times he looked a little, out of sorts. He's coming in at the end of the season to a new league, a new language, a new surroundings, and going to Montreal is certainly a very hard place to go as a young kid. But I was at that opener at home this year for the Montreal Canadiens, and the plays he was making, the setups. Listen, he's got elite skill level. He's a very good skater, smooth more than quick, but he cuts on a dime, and his vision is electric. There's going to be a tough race for that Calder Trophy when you look at Matthew Schaefer, who I've known since he's been a young kid. We've talked about that before, and Demidov. Those are the two front runners for sure.
I don't watch as many Habs games as I like, but I watched that one last night. They're a legit threat to score every game, and their power play is literal magic. I can't remember the last time.
Yeah,
well, Tampa's got a good one too, but these guys are young. They're the youngest team in the league.
Young team, and all those guys are locked up for 5 to 8 years at great cap numbers. So they're going to be good this year. They're going to be a playoff team, but man, in 3, 4, or 5 years, that's going to be a really good hockey team.
Mayday writes in, this is awesome. He's a Patriots fan, but he says, are the Penguins going to make the playoffs, Barney? I hope so for Crosby.
It's funny, we were just talking about that. When said Mayday, Brad May is like 2 doors down from me here in Halifax. I was like, just come over and ask the question, my man. I'll give you the answer. But listen, I didn't think Pittsburgh at the start of the year had a chance. From what I've seen in the last 3 years, all the rumors were, where's Malkin going to go? Where's Crosby going to go? Where are they going to end up? And I just hope Sidney Crosby ends as a Penguin, and the way that they're playing this year, they certainly look like a playoff team. I'm going to say yes. They've got good goaltending so far this year. They have to continue that if they're going to have success throughout the year. But man, Crosby looks good. Malkin looks good. It's fun to watch for that organization.
I saw them here a couple of weeks ago. Tristan Jarry looked good. They get any goaltending at all, and they're not they're not a Stanley Cup contender, but they're a playoff team. That's what I would be doing is looking for a goalie. They don't grow on trees, as we know. But.
Yeah, we know that. And I think, up to a few games ago, his save percentage was at like .923. And if you're at .923, the only goalie that had like a .920 save percentage was the Buffalo Sabres and Alex Lyon. And they were like 0-6, whatever it was, which is absolutely crazy. So Buffalo, if they scored a few more goals early, talk about goaltending, they could have a much different record than they have right now.
I assume you are keeping an eye on the entire league. Like I'm calling it bizarro world right now. The Anaheim Ducks are kicking the crap out of everybody, and they're first place in the Pacific Division. Have they arrived?
I'm not there yet. Listen, they still give up a lot of chances. It's a young team that can score goals. You got Leo Carlson, you got Gauthier, who had his first hat trick last night, Mason McTavish, who's a family friend. These guys can score goals, just anywhere. It's early. Until we get to the 20-game mark, 25-game mark, then we're going to see teams that really find their way. Toronto hasn't found their way. There's a lot of teams that are still like meddling. Tampa Bay is still one of those that got off to slow starts. So until we get to 20, 25 games, I think we can start to see, is that record still 8-3-1 or whatever it is for Anaheim off the top of my head, or do they get closer to that 500 range? So I think we're still about a month away from that.
Scott in Moose Jaw would like to know, who's the toughest player in the NHL right now, or does it even matter anymore?
Man, I'm going to go back to Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson to me is a guy that plays valuable minutes. He's not a guy that just goes out there and fights, but he can certainly set the tone if he has to stick up for a teammate that gets cheap shotted. He can set the tone if they're down 2-0 and wants to find a partner if there's a willing combatant on the other team. But listen, that guy is dynamic, and he can change the momentum with a goal, a power play goal, regular shift goal, or just a big hit. So to me, he's the toughest because of the valuable minutes he plays as well.
Pretty quiet out of Leafland these days, which said no one ever, but it feels like it is.
Yeah, the start that they've got off to, Austin Matthews under a point a game. He had a much better game in the last one against Pittsburgh. That could be a galvanizing moment for that team, though. Being down 3-0 in the third period to Pittsburgh, coming back, scoring 4, winning that game, and I know I've had those moments where you've lost 6-7 in a row, and then you come out. They just didn't get. They haven't got off to a good start, but it's still too early. They're one of their best players in William Nylander, who would be their top scorer right now if he played in all the games. He's been dealing with injury. So, they've had some goaltending issues, not playing up to par. A lot of things in Leafland haven't been 100% for them, but this is still a playoff team. They'll contend for the league, the lead in that division when it comes down to it. But I don't think they're a contender. And I think if you look at Vegas odds at the start of the year, they're usually like plus 700 to win the Stanley Cup, which means for betting people out there or non-betting people out there, if you bet $100, you win 700. So they're a high favorite, top 3 or 4 in the league. This year they were like plus 1,700. So even Vegas believe that this is not a Stanley Cup contending team unless a lot of changes happen.
Matthew Barnaby with us, 18th all-time in NHL penalty minutes. If there was ever a record that's safe, it's you and the 17 guys ahead of you. That's not going to be challenged. You're going to worry about that.
No, I don't have to worry about that. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because, obviously there's a lot of things that go wrong with your body, your shoulders, and hopefully not my head. Knock on wood, I feel pretty good. But yeah, it's no one's passing me for 18th. I can promise that.
Well, you look fine. I can't speak for the inside, but you look fine, Barney. And I'm to be honest, I'm kind of intrigued by this. Hockey helps homeless. I've seen a lot of my buddies traveling around doing that. They do it in Saskatoon a lot. The Sutters are involved in that, but we don't really know what you do. Would you mind telling us what you do when you do these?
Yes. It's pretty cool. I do the one, a few for Hockey Helps the Homeless. I do a few for Alzheimer's, obviously very close to my heart. So they all raise money for their charity. So this is raising money for the homeless, which we know is an epidemic in Canada. Anywhere you go, it's got worse and worse with the economy and where we stand. But essentially, people raise money all year long. They pool their money as a team, 18 to 20 guys together. They raise anywhere, let's just say, from $15,000 a team to $150,000 a team. Whoever gets the most money raised gets first pick in the draft. You can pick myself, Brad May, Andre Waugh, whoever it may be. There's going to be 22 or 23 guys here this weekend. And then you go with that team for the weekend. You play 3 games. You have a great fun at the draft night. You go out for dinner after the games the next day. And again, it just all goes to a great cause. And for us players, we get to tell our stories, how much bigger, stronger, faster, better players we were than when we played. And we also get to reminisce with our friends, the Brad Mays of the world, which I'm very, very excited to see him. I haven't seen him in about a month, so going to be a fun time seeing May Day.
Well, that's Hockey Helps Homeless, and I don't know, did you happen to see on the TNT broadcast last night Eddie Olczyk's impassioned pregame speech on hockey fights cancer? If you haven't seen it, look it up. And it's on NHL on TNT's Twitter. He just talked about his own battle, and it was he looked right in the camera, and it was a message to anybody battling cancer now. What a special guy. You played with Edzo, didn't you?
I didn't play with Edzo, but I've gotten to know Edzo. I've known him a long time. Funny story. And yeah, just everyone get checked out when they need to. And obviously that's, do a few events for cancer out there. Listen to Edzo. But I'm certainly going to listen because he's a first-class guy. My first recollection of Eddie O, I was a young player. And I remember after the game, our trainer came up. He goes, Eddie Olczyk would like your stick. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's He's an older guy. I'm just a young guy and not even a star in the league. So he walked me down, and his son, I guess I was his son's favorite player at the time, and Eddie had told me the story. So obviously I gave him a stick and met his son, and then I got to meet his son, and his son's got into broadcasting, so many things along the way. But yeah, Edzo is a first-class guy, and just glad he's doing well.
People always love the fighters, don't they? And whoever says, sorry, I don't know whether I just got a big buzz on my ear here, but whoever says God created us all equal haven't met certain guys. Eddie Olczyk is in another rarefied air of it as a human being, and a broadcaster and a player and all the rest. Terry from Calgary writes in, and he said, we only got a couple of minutes left, Barney, just so you know, we'll let you go shortly. But Terry from Calgary, Terry the lawyer, says, why is Logan Thompson again being given the cold shoulder by Canada? He's referring to the Olympics, I'm sure. I guess they feel he's not good enough. I mean, we're just coming off the Four Nations face-off, which we won.
Yeah.
These guys know what they're doing, Terry. Jordan Binnington was in goal. He won it. Montembeault was the number 2 goalie. You can't have everybody. What do you think, Barney?
From what I heard, doesn't get along great with people. I'm going to say that as politically correct as I can there, and that's not how I do it, because I don't know firsthand. If I said he was an ass or whatever, that's just from what I've heard. And again, further to your point, RP, they won. They won the Four Nations. Are there going to be changes for the Olympics? Could we see a Celebrini? Maybe. Those guys. Could we see a Matthew Schaefer? Maybe. We'll have to see how it all plays out. And if there's an injury, Logan Thompson could be the guy. But you can't argue with what's happened in the last year with Team Canada. They played great there.
Well, and by the way, who knows what Carter Hart's going to do once he starts kicking pucks for real in Vegas? Like, he's the guy. To me, he was going to be the next one. And they went to Philly, ruined his career. And we all know what happened with the junior thing. So do you think that he could have a great December, January, or Hockey Canada's like, yeah, we're not touching that this time around?
No, they are not touching Carter Hart. I don't care if he doesn't let a goal in. Team Canada.
Okay.
Can you imagine the headlines? And listen, he was acquitted on all charges, and I think he deserves a second chance. You can judge morally however you want, but legally has been dismissed of all charges and deserves, all the players, in my opinion, deserve another chance. But in no way is he going to be playing or ever be putting on a Team Canada jersey ever again.
Right. Yeah, dumb. Shouldn't have even brought it up. Hey, you doing some work with Bet365?
I work with Nation Network for podcasts and through DFO Moneyline. That's one of our shows that we do. So I jump across, kind of a chameleon, jumping across the platforms for different podcasts out there. But yes, 365 powers a lot of our stuff, and do some stuff for them. And actually going to do a little hit with them as soon as we're off.
Okay, good stuff. Well, I appreciate that. Oh, my God. We only have 45 seconds. Tony in Cochrane says, hey, Barney, how many 2, 5, and 10s did you get in your career? You probably have that number in your head.
No, God, no. I know I have 2,562 penalty minutes, and through AHL, NHL, and junior, I think it's up over 4,200, but no, 2, 5, and 10s, no clue. Over 400 fights and over 200 fights in the NHL.
And I know how much money you gave back in fines too, because we talked about that. You have that number somewhere, or your accountant does, anyways. Okay, Barney,
$264,536.
Imagine if he had that back. Oh my God! All right, Barney, thanks. Have fun. Enjoy Halifax.
Cheers, buddy.
The great Matthew Barnaby, 18th all-time in penalty minutes, and just an all-around great guy. We'll be right back, everybody, with a sports update and viewer takeover. We're live on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and Game Plus.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Back at it here on the Game Plus TV network and the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. Okay, the pot's a little light. Let's get the comments in. For those that are watching on YouTube, by the way, because we're streaming live there as well. Anything tickles your fancy in this sports update, I want to hear you. Or the text line, 902-518-3033. It's brought to you by Western Dodge. From trucks to SUVs, Western Dodge has what you're looking for. Visit them or visit online at westerndodge.ca. Okay, there's news from the football world today. It's brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone, by the way, your home for jerseys, collectibles, and all the gear you need. Visit them today or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca. In the jaw. 6-time Super Bowl winning head coach Bill Belichick and 4 other head coaches who won Super Bowls are among the 9 semifinalists in the coach category for the 2026 class for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Belichick is in his first year of eligibility after rule changes put in place last year, requiring coaches only to be out of the NFL for 1 full season before being considered for the Hall. 2-time Super Bowl champion coaches Tom Coughlin, Mike Shanahan, and George Seifert also advanced, along with another Super Bowl winner in Mike Holmgren. It's interesting because I was talking to a football guy yesterday from Mississippi. I ain't going to mention his name, but I said, why do you think Bill Belichick's been, for all intents and purposes, banned from the NFL? And he's like, Rod, I don't know. And I don't really know either. But there's got to be a reason that he's coaching college football in North Carolina. And by the way, the word that I got out of Chapel Hill, and those that know that I've got great contacts there, you can expect Bill Belichick to fulfill his contract there through the 2026 season. Write it down today. That's what I heard. Ohio State gets top billing in the first college football playoff rankings of the season. This came down Tuesday night, followed by Indiana, Texas A&M, and Alabama. The top three head into the final 4 weeks of the regular season undefeated. Another team with no losses, BYU of the Big 12, was ranked 7th. At number 5 was Georgia, followed by Mississippi. And, I was saying earlier, it's been 5 years that I've been living in the States, spend my summers in Canada. It's literally the best of both worlds. But it's taken me 5 football seasons to fully get my mind around the whole college football thing. And it's actually not that difficult. It's not that difficult to follow. You just need to watch the games, and friend of mine, Steve Sarkisian, the head coach at Texas, what a season they've had. They came in ranked number 1. And they weren't even in the top 12 last night in the college football playoff. And it all rests, I'm afraid, on the quarterback Arch Manning. In my mind, in Miami, where I live, Hurricanes came in, what were they, number 5? At the start of the year, the AP top 25, and they're not in the top 12 either. Will heads roll in Austin or Miami? I don't know, but that's the talk. And Sark's had the Longhorns in the playoff semifinals each of the last 2 years. Hang on. Some of these comments I'm going to have to roll over into overtime. The NFL season is halfway through, and some interesting trends have emerged. Scoring is up, partly due to new special teams rules and more aggressive fourth down plays. Offenses are getting bigger, using extra linemen and tight ends more than ever. No dominant team has emerged, with every team having at least 2 losses after 9 weeks. The Chiefs, despite being Super Bowl favorites, have a 5-4 record, and they are out of the playoffs as we sit here today. The AFC might see 4 new division winners, while the NFC has more stability, with the Philadelphia Eagles leading. There have been more dramatic finishes, with 35 games decided by a score in the final moments, and that is a record for the NFL through 9 weeks of the season. There's a case to be made that this has been the best season in NFL history for all the reasons that I just said. The Sports Update is brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store, proudly presented by them. You can find them in the Jaw. Get your game day gear in-store or online at ultimatefanzone.ca. Navy Don writes in. He says, last night I watched the Netflix doc about who killed the Montreal Expos. A sad event in Canada for sure. Yeah. Why don't you watch a comedy, Navy Don? At least after you're watching shows like that. That would be my suggestion. I haven't watched the documentary yet, but I will. Overtime is next. Keep these comments coming in. 902-518-3033 or the YouTube chat. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, and across Canada and 32 U.S. states right here on Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Here we go, everybody. It's the final segment. It's brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Flames are home tonight, which I'm going to get to in a second. If you're looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot, look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. It's RP Show approved. An amusement park for hockey players where skill and fun collide. Check them out, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. If you haven't yet, they've been with us for years on the program. Birthday parties, office parties, Christmas parties, team building, they can do it all. Licensed bar as well. Stop in and see Randy and Michelle at 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Tell them the RP Show sent you. Just an interesting note here. Navy Dawn, he's watching from the nation's capital. He says, that's great about the NCAA. You can easily watch the games. In Canada, it's like finding the holy grail to see a regular season game in U Sports. And for the American viewers, that's what they call Canadian University Sports, U Sports. But, I don't know. I feel like where there's a will, there's a way. Last Saturday, I've mentioned it a couple times here on the program today. My good friend Matt DeBuck, who coaches the Cardinal Gibbons High School Chiefs, that's their helmet. I was over at his house. We were watching on a stick. Is that legal? I'm not sure. Is that street legal? On the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, we watched UNLV versus New Mexico. So it's like, if you root around, you can find it. And I want to give those Cowboys a real shout out because the production was outstanding. As I was saying, it must have been a drone. Down the strip, heading south, and then over it I guess it went that way at the Luxor, over towards Allegiant Stadium, which, by the way, they announced Cowboys Stadium in Dallas getting an NHL outdoor game. Can somebody in Vegas help me out and tell me, is Allegiant Stadium got a retractable roof, the home of the Raiders? I don't know. I was there for Super Bowl and never really looked up. I don't know. I feel like texting my friends in Vegas, but I don't want to look that stupid. Can somebody just tell me now? Point being, it'd be pretty cool to get an outdoor game in Las Vegas. It would have to be at Allegiant Stadium, although maybe they could play at Sam Boyd Stadium, the normal home for the UNLV Running Rebels football program. Anyways, got to do our NHL picks our NHL breakaway bets. For Cool Bet. Cool Bet will welcome your bonus up to $200 with the promo code RP200 at coolbet.com. Canadian viewers only, sorry. Utah at Toronto tonight. Oh, boy, that might be the game of the night. Utah, the hottest team in the NHL, winners of 8 of their last 10 against the middling Toronto Maple Leafs. I think Toronto wins tonight. The St. Louis Blues at the Washington Capitals. St. Louis, the second worst team in the NHL, according to our rankings, as we've done twice today. I'll take the Caps. Columbus Blue Jackets at the Calgary Flames. I hate doing this. This hurts me more than it hurts you, Calgary. But until the Flames prove that they aren't who we thought they were, I got to go with Columbus, who everybody's saying is the next big thing, the next up-and-coming thing. And kudos to them. Chicago Blackhawks at the Vancouver Canucks. Yeah, I think the pumpkin has hit midnight for the Blackhawks. Sorry. Connor Bedard's return home tonight. Anybody talking about that? I'm sure they are in Vancouver. I'll take the Canucks, though. And the San Jose Sharks at the Seattle Kraken. Kudos to the Kraken, by the way. And with the season that they're putting together, I will go with the Seattle Kraken tonight. Those are our picks tonight in the NHL. Breakaway bets, as we say. 11 games in the NBA. The RP shows team, the Raptors are off. The Miami Heat, however, are at Denver. Couple of college football games tonight. We were talking about that earlier. Northern Illinois at Toledo. Kent State at Ball State. And if you are betting, please bet responsibly. And for the hockey people, specifically the junior folks that are watching on Game Plus TV out in Western Canada, 6 games in the dub tonight, including the Calgary Hitmen at the Moose Jaw Warriors, and we will ask you to stop in and see Johnny Atreides, the Mad Greek, at the Mad Greek restaurant in Moose Jaw. Proud sponsors of the RP show. 902-518-3033 is the text line before we head off the air. Kirk writes in, he says, hey, Rod, it may be the best season in the NFL, but not uniform-wise. Ugh. I know, right? As the kids say, IKR. I know, right? I don't know of any of these jerseys that I would buy, especially those Steelers ones were disgusting. We were all excited for Aaron Rodgers to go up against his old team on Sunday Night Football. Steelers home to the Packers. Packers go in there wearing those white man from Glad outfits. You're expecting green and gold, Green Bay Packers at Pittsburgh. And the Steelers were wearing jerseys like throwaways from the set of Any Given Sunday. If you watched how weird those jerseys were in that 1999 film by Oliver Stone. But thanks for pointing that out. Navy Don writes in, he says, Rod, you need to be pretty dedicated to find the stream if you want to pay for it. You have to be a deep state hacker to pirate a U Sports game. Well, listen, I understand that. And, I meant to talk about this earlier. I had it written down and I didn't. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. But with Hebsey's book, Madness, The Rise and Ruin of Sports Media, Navy Dawn, you might want to ask for that under your tree because it's all spelled. Like, I know it's keeping you up at night while you can't watch the amateur games of your choosing that you would like. It's actually all explained in Hebsey's book, and I don't have time in the next 45 seconds to explain it. That's why I said I would have liked to. But as I said to Hebsey, I don't think people care how we got to where we were to how we are. I really don't think they care. And he goes, that's harsh. If you didn't care, you wouldn't buy the book. If you want to know, it's in Hebsey's book. Madness, The Rise and Ruin of Sports Media. Thank you, Utah Darren, for that. He says, those Packer uniforms look like stormtroopers from Star Wars. Bad. I know, right? We'll do it all again tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, and, of course, across the Great White North on Game Plus TV.
That